Well, hello, and welcome to my world. Welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick, where everybody needs a little TLC. And I am Cedrick LaFleur, your host, and I'm excited to be back with you again today. You know, our focus here at Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we pay attention and focus on leadership, personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Now, our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. You know, our guiding leadership principle is the law of consistency, which says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going and growing. See, you have to develop the good habits that lead to success. Now, just showing up is 80% of success. See, some people just don't show up. See, you can beat pretty much everybody very easily by consistently showing up. You know, Bruce Springsteen once said, a time comes when a man or a woman needs to stop waiting for the man or woman they want to be and just start being that person. So tonight, folks, we have another dynamic leader with us on the show, and I'm excited to have her on the show. And every week, you know, I like to do a proper introduction of my guests. So let me start off by welcoming Miss Alana Newman to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Cedrick.
Well, I'm excited for you to be here. So let me introduce you to Miss Alana Freeman. Alana Freeman. She is the co-founder of Health Freedom Summit, an online conference dedicated to giving a voice to the most qualified and the most censored doctors, scientists, legal experts, and stakeholders in the debate on vaccines, COVID restrictions, and encroaching medical tyranny. Right? She has been writing and speaking on the topic of medical and bioethics for over 15 years. She's narrated and co-produced the documentary Sexual Revolution, 50 years since Humane
Humane
Vitae. Thank you. Uh, which covers the parallel histories of birth control pills and natural family planning. And she currently lives in the great city of Lake Charles, Louisiana, with her 3 children and 2 dogs. Now, that's a handful, folks. Um, she attends traditional Latin Mass as an outspoken Catholic convert.
Yes.
So again, welcome to the show. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that you're doing, and we're going to share with the audience some of the things that you're doing as well. But I'm excited for you to be here on the show tonight.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation. That's really great.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start off by, you know, people listen to people they know, like, and trust. So let's start off by talking about who is Alana Newman. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, thank you. I am not from Lake Charles. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I went to high school in Cupertino, California, which is the headquarters of Apple and Facebook and all the big tech companies. I went to art school in San Francisco proper. So I was living, down by the bay, saw the Golden Gate Bridge almost every day, which was a really beautiful town to live in. But it's kind of a crazy town. A lot of people, when you travel there, they note the really bad homeless population, lots of drugs, really big disparities and wealth disparities. And it's, I just felt like I was becoming a San Francisco stereotype and I didn't feel completely sane. So I think I had the travel bug and I felt the urge to get out. First place I went wasn't so much better. It was Brooklyn, New York. But
you just decided to change coast.
Yeah, I decided to change coast. I did. And, I was kind of a creative. You go to the places where you think you can find work too, given what your training is. But Actually, when I was there, I ended up working for a think tank called the Institute for American Values, and they had I was just naturally very curious about bioethics for very kind of deep-seated reasons, but I found myself wanting to do more of like writing and speaking and just listening to all these more like philosophy kind of writers and authors. Like I was just fascinated by them, and rather than doing design and music and all the kind of creative things that I more or less went to school for, I just found myself really in awe of all of these scholars, and that has created for me now, after 15 years, I basically use what I've learned as a designer to help make these bioethicists and scholars look like rock stars. And I get to nerd out and listen to these really, really smart people as a hobby, but then I make a living framing them and promoting them and kind of helping get their message out to more of a mainstream audience if possible. It will never be super mainstream because I don't have that budget and those kind of connections, but it just, it's and so I did a documentary on natural family planning and the history of the birth control pill because I was really interested in the infertility epidemic. And that's really kind of where my heart was for the last 10 years. But ever since the COVID stuff has happened, I've shifted focus a little bit more towards what's happening with the pandemic and all that. But it all kind of like natural health and bioethics is my deep interest.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So one more question before, so just to get the audience to know who you are. Tell us something fun or interesting about you. I know you're from California originally, but you're now living in Cajun country. So there must be some fun or interesting things that you that you can tell us about yourself.
Oh, geez. I'm actually not allowed to have fun because I'm responsible for 3 little people and 2 dogs. My dogs are both rescue dogs, Taco and Buddy, and they gallivant around the neighborhood because I cannot keep them fenced in. I have spent thousands of dollars on fencing to keep them home, but they just outsmart me. They dig under, they climb over, they squeeze in between. I can't keep my dogs in my house. So you would never want to be my neighbor if you don't like dogs because I just can't keep them.
Can't keep them in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you told me that. I have to make sure when I'm walking down the street, I got to watch for these dogs.
Yeah, I know. They scare away the bad guys, which I guess is good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, all right. So then fun and interesting, you say you're not allowed to have fun, but if no one was home, the dogs were gone, the kids were gone, no one was there, what dessert would you eat?
Coffee ice cream.
Ice cream.
Every time.
Okay. All right. I like that. Coffee, ice cream. I have to remember that.
When I'm really being bad, I'll eat Oreos and milk. But that's like a once a year kind of thing.
I was just eating some Oreo Thins today.
Oh, they trick you.
Yeah.
They trick you with that Thins. It's not going to make you thin.
Doggone it. That's what I was thinking. Okay. So, Alana, tell us about your business niche. Tell us, really the area that you focus in today.
So I specialize in selling interesting information. And if people are interested in it, if just like people are just interested in sports, like if people are just interested in it, then you can make a living promoting that. And I feel really blessed to be able to earn a living by drawing people towards ideas that I think make humanity better, that just serve humanity. I feel really blessed.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so with your this particular business niche, would you say this has been the driving force in your adult life, rather?
Earning money is not the driving force in my life, but my interest in bioethics is, and because I'm responsible for 3 human beings, and you have to make a living. I've done the work of learning how to pay the bills with my interest, and so the conference is a really great platform. And then from the conference, you get to write amazing emails, talking to people, documentaries. You can do live events with documentaries and share information that way. You can create merchandise. There's all sorts of product lines when there's products that kind of match your value system as like what the idea, like for natural health, there's lots of products that align with natural health that you can align with and earn extra income by promoting those products. And so it's kind of like lifestyle branding. And ever since I got into the natural health space, and I've become healthier because get to listen to all these people who are overcoming chronic illnesses. They're recovering from cancer, Lyme disease. There's people who are curing autism, I swear to you. And so I've gotten tremendously healthier, and then my bank account has grown at the same time because there's actual real opportunities here. When you serve people, when you make their life better, that's valuable to people. They're willing to give you something of value, such as money, because you helped them. So
yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So tonight I as I was talking about this show and promoting the show, I was talking about to vaccinate, not to vaccinate. Was going to be really kind of a theme here tonight. And but it's important to help our audience understand your point of view. A lot of people that I know are believing in getting the vaccination, and they've gotten the vaccination, right? But I do know people that haven't gotten their vaccination and don't believe in getting the vaccination. So one of the things I did was I went to your website, and you have a story on there that was a very passionate story, by the way, and it's called The Cough, right?
Yeah.
So help describe or talk a little bit about this story, The Cough, because I think it'll help set up the rest of the conversation and maybe give people some perspective. Your perspective, right?
Thank you. The Cough is the first story. It was my story submitted on healthfreedomstories.com, which is brand new. We're just now building it, and we're just now adding kind of the content, but we're launching it to the world kind of like this week. So hopefully new stories will come in as a piggyback to Health Freedom Summit. But I got to write my story as the first one since I built the website, and it's the story of my daughter who, you're firstborn, you make all your mistakes. So I just was super obedient to my pediatrician. Just whatever the pediatrician tells me to, that's what we're doing, because that's what good moms do. Is you follow the instructions of your doctor to a T, and why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why wouldn't you? However, I experienced, trips to the ER, major gastrointestinal problems with her, night terrors, screaming like a banshee, night terrors. Nobody slept. I was miserable. She was miserable. It ruined my relationship with her during that phase, because all the screaming and no sleeping. And then when she started to get 4 and 5 years old, she developed this persistent cough. I'm telling you, like minute to minute, constantly, day in, day out, in her sleep. It was awful. It was so hard to take. Her teachers were complaining. I didn't want to be around her, which is a very painful feeling for a mother to have. And I became just desperate to find out, like, why was my daughter coughing like this? We did so many cough, like, what would you think of like normal cough remedies and stuff. But eventually I started to get more curious about the criticisms of vaccines, because I would go to the library, the children's section of the library, and notice, wow, there's more like autistic teenage boys here than there are preschoolers. That's weird. And when people start talking about controversies, like, I want to hear both sides. I'm the type of person, I want to hear both sides of the argument. It's to me, I don't know why more people don't try to do that. It seems like that's the only way you can make it an informed, like, opinion on something. So I started to research, like, what these, anti-vaxxers were talking about, and the concept of heavy metal toxicity. I learned for the first time. So chronic illness created by inflammation and caused by heavy metal toxins inside the body, which are deposited via injections from vaccines. And when I took this concept of heavy metal toxicity kind of to the bank and tried it out, I was researching how to detox from heavy metal toxicity, heavy metal detox. And that's when I found these heavy metal detox products. The one that I started using was called the zeolite, cliniptilolite zeolite, and the company's called Touchstone Essentials. And it's just a spray. It's like spraying water into your mouth. Tasteless, odorless, super easy, but it has a negative charge to it, which binds to the heavy metal charge of all metals, and it's cage structured. So the heavy metal is kind of like absorbed into the cage of the molecule and thus protected. So as you're detoxing, as the toxins are leaving the body, it's not causing tissue damage on the way out. Like there's some heavy metal detox products you can take which don't cover the heavy metal properly. There's not a proper coating or protective cellular layer. And so you're actually, like, imagine razor blades going all through your lower intestines on the way out. Like, that can cause problems. Mm-hmm. And so I was using this zeolite spray for 2 weeks, and the coughing ceased completely. And she has not coughed like that ever since. That was 4 years ago. So the hypothesis of, her chronic illness, her chronic coughing is caused by heavy metal toxicity, to me was proven right because of that home experiment we did. And if you go and you research these products, it's very powerful when you hear the stories of healing from that. And so that answers your question about that story. And it kind of, that experience launched me and it's to a position of hope where we don't have to be stuck with chronic illness. Mm-hmm. There is a way out, but then you have to do something about what caused the problem in the first place, right? Someone's responsible for creating chronic illness, and that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. So from that experience with your daughter, is that what helped cause you to launch Health Freedom?
Yes, I was a passive observer of kind of the natural, like, of the vaccine debate specifically. And when I started listening to the, so-called anti-vaxxers, that's when we got healthier. That's when our family got significantly healthier, is when I started taking their advice. But I was passive, and I was just a learner. And my topic was the birth control pill and natural family planning. I was a natural family planning teacher, and that was my topic. When the lockdown started, it was like, I understood, I call it the medical industrial complex. The concept of you create a problem so you can sell the solution and make $1 billion while you're at it. So I understood that concept, and I just took all my skills as far as like media and conferences, and I just applied it to the lockdown stuff, the COVID stuff, and been doing that for 18 months.
Okay. And how has that been going for you so far?
It's been going well and intensely, and we are getting blocked by all the social media giants. I had my Facebook ad accounts taken down. We are not allowed to share our page. We get warnings. We have hit pieces written about us and all the like Bill Gates funded media outlets like The Guardian. They did a kind of a critical piece making fun of us. Wired magazine did a critical piece making fun of us. The Washington Post did a critical piece, but that just goes to show that we're pissing off the right people, and that we're really doing some damage into the a narrative that is not in service of humanity. Like people are smart. People can listen to both sides and make up and decide for themselves. Like, but they don't let the debate happen. We've been winning the debate everywhere where we're allowed to speak. And so their only solution is to just cut off all of our media channels. Yeah. Censorship is the only way they can win.
Sure. Yeah. I know it has to be a difficult topic, but what's been the most fun part about health freedom?
The people in the health freedom movement are very inspiring. Some of them have very sad stories, but it's very emotional of these are life and death topics. So as far as like human interest goes, I'm always struck by the people, because they're usually sacrificing something very big and important in order to tell their story. We have nurses who have, been fired. We've had, I've made friends with undercover nurses who are demonstrating that the hospital protocol itself is killing people. I've got to meet the inventor of mRNA technology himself. These are all mRNA. They're new types of vaccines, and it's this new kind of gene therapy technology. So I got to meet the inventor of that. There's just a lot of people who care about humanity, and whenever you meet people who are just really want to save lives, they're just passionate people. So I guess meeting good people is the answer to that question. There's just good people. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Meeting fun, new and interesting people that may think like you, but also people that may think totally different from you. Right.
Right.
It should be fun to meet new people and different people.
Well, I know that you're Christian, right? So yes. So believers, it's like when you have that common denominator that's so big, like God, like a belief in the creator. So many different kinds of people go to church. You've got people from all walks of life go to worship our creator God. And kind of like this love of humanity, that, wanting to save lives also brings in just like all sorts of different people of different talents and stripes. And but it's a positive thing when you're trying to save lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So, a few weeks ago is when we met. We just so happened we're sitting next to each other at this event in the great city of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I was intrigued with your speech that you got up and the few words that you got up and said, and so then when I read the story on your page, I was wondering, is that really the catalyst for you that said vaccines are not the way that we should be going
in? It's super controversial, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that everybody has, first and foremost, you are the most qualified person to make decisions about your health, but you got to do the work of studying and discerning who's a good person to trust and who's not. So obviously, I've never gone to medical school, so people are going to use that as an automatic strike against me. But I have the most invested interest in my life. No one is more interested in me living than me, except for maybe my kids. So what a lot of people are not factoring into this debate is the possibility of corruption and the flow of money. And so in navigating for yourself, if you're going to take this particular vaccine or not, or all the vaccines that they want you to take or not, you should also plug into that equation, like, who's making money off of it. And if you're chronically sick and you get cancer, or you have to spend 20 days in the hospital, or you have a chronic inflammatory problem that you have to take inflammatory medications for the rest of your life, for, like, maybe they have an incentive there not to really make you super healthy, but to kind of make you chronically sick. Or maybe they don't. Maybe your particular doctor is an angel on earth, and they only just want to do right by you. If they're out there too. And I've met doctors like that. I'm not anti-doctor. But I am pro having a conversation about what's influencing the decisions people are making. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of doctors who, if they don't push everything pharma tells them, everything the CDC tells them, they're at risk for losing their medical license. And, a lot of doctors, they have medical debt into their 40s and 50s, and, like, they can't afford to lose their medical license. Like, they've got some bills to pay that are monkeys on their back, just debilitating and causing it has consequences for the decisions they make. So I'm pro debate. I'm pro health freedom. I'm not going to tell anybody what to put into their body or not. But for me, when I started listening to the other side of this debate, I got healthier. And we've benefited.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And you probably do see some of that, right? Where you didn't take the vaccine and you saw an improvement in your health, but then you have the other side of the coin where people have taken the vaccine, and that's not just COVID vaccine, but any vaccine or medication, and they saw improvement in their overall health and life. So it's definitely a challenging debate. And so my background, I'm a scientist. And so I definitely am one who believes in the science of it, but I'm not one that will tell someone else that you have to do it because I did it or because it's right for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the reasons why when I heard you speak, I said, I need to have her on the show so I can at least present the other side of the coin, the opposing view to my audience, and then come on and have you on and let you talk about that. Oh, but from a scientific standpoint, if vaccines, for example, let's just look at just COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
if the vaccine is not the solution, then what is?
Mm-hmm. So there's some, I would point people who are skeptical about, is if they're looking really to explore it, there's some names I can drop that will lead you down a rabbit hole of Dr. Peter McCullough. He's done a ton. He's got over 600 citations, I think specifically on COVID. And he's one to go down the rabbit hole. Dr. Tess Laurie, she's got a nonprofit and has done a lot of work on the ivermectin. So people talk about ivermectin, and there's a lot of stuff in the press right now like, oh, it's just a horse dewormer, and making fun of people who are taking ivermectin. But the thing is with the emergency use authorization label, so let me unpack this a little bit. So they have, I'm going to start here. So in 2005, Congress passed what's called the PrEP Act. And the PrEP Act makes it so that if there's a medical emergency like a pandemic, any company that comes and creates a product that is to solve that pandemic, like a vaccine or a biologic, that company cannot be sued if it kills or hurts people. So if there's a pandemic and you create a product to solve the pandemic, you can't be sued no matter how many people die. That's the 2005 PrEP Act. In 2009, the World Health Organization actually changed the definition of pandemic. So it didn't actually have to kill people. It just had, like, everybody it just had to impact a lot of people. Like, you had to have a lot of cases. So now we're in a situation where we have a pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these companies, there's like this gold rush to produce the top vaccine to solve the problem of this pandemic. So because it's under emergency use authorization, because there's a pandemic, they have no liability. Nobody can sue them. However, if there is a therapeutic or a drug, a pill, something established that is curing that, like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, then the new vaccines can no longer have emergency use authorization. That goes away. So legally speaking, based off of from what I'm reading and experts I'm following, the reason that they have to do a character assassination of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine is because it puts the whole business model, financial model of the liability-free vaccine, it destroys that. So I believe it when they say, with the America's Frontline Doctors, when they say that 100% of their patients are being cured with the use of ivermectin and the Zelenko protocol. Those doctors have been fired and risked their careers and put themselves really on the line to tell the truth about it. So I tend to believe the doctors who are sacrificing income to tell the truth rather than the doctors who get a bunch of kickbacks for promoting the right product.
Okay. Well, let me back up a second. The industry, meaning the medical industry, right, has an obligation to do what it can to help, one, eliminate any type of health risk, pandemics, or pandemic, or anything that's causing significant poses a health risk to citizens, right? They have an obligation then to try to research it, find out what they can do to fix it. And that's the reason why you go to medical school, right? Is to help people get better from a health perspective, standpoint, rather. So in this whole debate of vaccinate or not to vaccinate, I think that one of the things that we have to think about is, if we do nothing, we know, and even if you look at the data, you see that in a short period of time, we had a lot of people all of a sudden just dying, right? And their body's responding, inflammation sets in, the respiratory system starts to malfunction, shut down. So then your pharmaceutical companies, your healthcare organizations then have an obligation to say, what can we do to fix this? Now, it's never going to be 100%, right? No matter how good a company is, how big they are, how much money they have, right? Science is never going to be 100%, right? So there are going to be some people that make it through and recover, and then some are going to die because of this. But my question is, should we, or should America, or actually in this case the world, sit back and say, because we don't know all the adverse side effects of a vaccine, should we say we're not going to do anything? Or should we say we should try these things to help eliminate this or alleviate this until we have more information and there's time for more studies?
I mean, absolutely. When there's a problem, the good people show up and try to solve the problem. And so I respect anybody who is honestly trying to solve a problem, including, pandemics, just whatever problem, maybe Ebola, whatever kind of outbreak that there is. There's so much to talk about. I'm so glad that you're creating an opportunity to discuss things, but there's like official narratives, and then there's suppressed possibilities. And I would like whoever's listening to consider the possibility that the answers that are being widely promoted right now have been packaged, and because those same people who are spending so much time promoting these particular answers, namely the vaccine, are also the same people who helped create the problem and therefore may not be trustworthy. And what I'm specifically talking about is, Anthony Fauci funded gain of function research, which is how to make viruses more deadly, more contagious. And that kind of research was considered too unethical to do in the United States. And so he hired that out to China because China has more deplorable ethics panels or something. They're just more willing to do unethical things. And so it was the Wuhan lab that now people are starting to recognize that, yeah, that is the most plausible theory, is that the SARS-CoV-2 was created in a lab. And I've seen documentaries on this. I got to interview a PhD virologist who worked under Fauci, and she's the author of the book, The Plague of Corruption, Dr. Judy Mikovits. I got to interview her, and I just, I'm not an investigative journalist, but I've listened to enough where I am now convinced that they were the ones who created this super contagious pathogen, and specifically so that they could then sell the solution. That's my personal opinion. I'm happy to share resources. Nobody's required to agree with me, but consider that might be a possibility. And therefore, I'm not going to immediately, because I view Anthony Fauci as someone who's untrustworthy because he did that research and he was really a major player in creating this whole virus problem. I'm not going to automatically trust his advice on what the solution is. And so there's a lot of evidence that the NIH and basically the American government medical authorities are trying to make the cheap, affordable working solutions like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and the Zelenko protocol either what's the word? Out of fashion. You know, they're making fun of people who use it. They're saying they're scaring people to say it doesn't work when actually ivermectin is safer than Tylenol. And I smell a rat. I smell a big fat rat.
Okay. All right. And I'm glad you came on to talk about it. Right. I think that this is the beauty of America. We can come on and have civilized conversations and debate and agree or not agree with one another and leave. In some cases, we're going to be more educated when we leave, right? In some cases, we just gather more information and more data to either prove our point or disprove our point, right? And that's really what the whole purpose of this is. So I'm glad you came on and are willing to talk about this. But I always like to have fun on my show as well, right? It can't be all about just work, right? So we have a segment on the show, Alana, that we call Would You Rather? Okay.
Awesome.
So
I like you so much, Cedrick. I really do.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you said that. So would you rather meet your great grandparents or meet your great grandchildren?
I've never been asked that. I think it would be too painful for me to see how my bad choices negatively impacted my great grandchildren. So I would rather meet my great grandparents and say thank you to them.
Okay.
Yeah. If I did anything to mess up my great grandchildren, I don't want to know about it.
Would you rather? Would you rather? An audience, you can also answer these by putting your comments in the put your responses in the comments. All right. So, would you rather have more time or more money?
More money.
More money. All right. All right. Would you rather no one show up at your wedding or no one show up at your funeral?
I would rather no one show up at my wedding. I hope my funeral is well attended.
Okay. All right. Would you rather be stuck, Alana, in a ski lift or stuck on an elevator?
Oh, ski lift, because the views.
Yeah, but I'm just worried that I can see how high I'm up.
Yeah, I'm not super afraid of heights. I'm a little bit afraid of heights, but I think I could just enjoy the majesty of God's creation up on a ski lift, whereas an elevator I'd freak out and get bored. And yeah.
All right. Would you rather be an adult your whole life or a kid your whole life?
Adult. I am so much happier as an adult. Aren't you?
I love it, but you know what? I would love to go back to junior high school and high school. I had a ball.
Did you? I bet you were really popular and stuff. I like getting able to buy what I want when I want it. It's like I feel like doing something. I can just get up and go. That's powerful. I'm never going to give that up.
You said, I'm never giving that up. Would you rather be a ninja or a pirate?
Oh, ninja. Ninjas are way more ethical. Pirates steal, ninjas protect. Definitely a ninja.
And a ninja gets to throw that star. That's what I want to do.
Oh, the ninja star.
When if they're fighting or something, they can throw that star at you and hit you in the throat.
Yeah.
So, all right, last one. Would you rather have $1 million in Amazon gift cards or $100,000 in real money?
If I had $100,000 in real money, I could start a business that would make $1 million a year for me. So.
Okay, so you're gonna take the 100,000 in real money?
Yeah.
All right. So you can buy everything on Amazon now. So you could still do that. You just trade out those Amazon gift cards for real money.
That takes work. I could take the $100,000, invest it immediately,
Okay.
and create passive income for the rest of my life, which would be the smarter thing to do.
Okay. All
I
right.
think.
I said one more, but I'm going to ask you this last one. Would you rather be the smartest person in the room or the funniest person in the room?
Oh, funniest. Smart people are so lonely. They're so lonely. Nobody gets them. Funny people have way more friends.
All right. Sounds like we're gonna have to get you out of the house then. So you have a business partner,
I do.
Stephanie, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And see, I did my homework.
You are so pro. I want everybody to know Cedrick is as pro as it gets. He is very good at research and thinking about these interviews. You really did your homework.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So you guys co-founded Health Freedom Summit. So tell us a little bit more. And I have just so you know, audience, you can see, you can click on the link in the comments, healthfreedomsummit.com, and you'll see it scrolling across the bottom of your screen as well. So tell us everything about Health Freedom Summit. You know, when is it? What's the purpose? And how can people get involved?
So we're actually relaunching. We did the original summit this year in February, but with all these new mandates where people are saying, you know, you're going to lose your job if you don't take the vaccine. You're not going to be able to travel. These vaccine passport things. We decided to take our February conference, keep what's still relevant, and then update some of the material so that people can have resources for this moment in time. And we're going to be launching that this Friday, September 10th. It's free. So if you register at healthfreedomsummit.com, you can explore the material for yourself, decide if it's worthy or not, and you don't have to spend a dime. So that's happening this weekend.
All right. So they can go and register at healthfreedomsummit.com right now. They still have time to register.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All
It's
right.
all online. They can register the morning of the 10th if they want.
Okay. All right. And did you say it's an all-day summit?
It's at your convenience. The videos are pre-recorded, and so
Okay.
it comes in like a player, and you just play them as you're going about your day. I like to cook and watch, you know, so you put the laptop or your phone and then you watch the videos as you're folding laundry, cooking.
Okay. Awesome. So I have two more questions to ask you. I have another live show at 6:30 here. And so I have two more questions to ask you. How can our audience stay connected with you if someone wants to stay connected with you? What's the best way to do that?
Well, Instagram, our handle is Health Freedom Summit. I'm probably most active there. And if you register for the summit, you type in your email address, you'll get our emails. So we usually send out about one email a week, which is usually news commentary plus an event that we're excited about, plus a product we love. So kind of like a little magazine and an email kind of thing.
Okay.
And that's how we reach people's email and Instagram.
Perfect. And last question is, if a book was written about you, what would the title of the book be? And what would the summary in the back of the book say?
That's a really deep question, Cedrick. I would hope that it would have something about bioethics in the title. And then on the back, I hope it would be something about seeking truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Even I would love to be recognized as someone who's willing to make sacrifices for the love of humanity. I hope that I reach that ideal in every decision that I make, is just to do the right thing and not be a sellout. I don't want to be a sellout. I want to actually serve people and help them. I don't know. No one's ever going to write a book about me. Maybe they will.
Yes. We never know. We never know. So folks, thank you for, first of all, Alana, thank you for being willing to come on the show.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. I wish there was more people like you who would just be pro conversation. I adore you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And audience, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. And again, at 6:30 Central Time, we will be on the Black Entrepreneurs Live Show on the Empowered Living platform. And we're going to be having a great conversation tonight. So make sure you tune in a few minutes over on the Empowered Living Network. We'll be there on Thursday. Make sure you tune in at 5:30 Central Time for Talk Leadership with Cedrick Thursday edition. I'm going to have Miss Obiama Levi Johnson on the show. We're going to be talking about youth entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship in the youth space. Rather, Friday morning, Friday mental motivation. You know, I'm going to bring 15 minutes of pain. It's going to be hard and heavy and to the point to make sure you get ready to have a great weekend. And as I tell you, folks, if you're not on the table, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and don't be on the menu. Thank you guys, and good night.